Good afternoon, my beautiful soul followers. So, like promised, I am back with our lowdown on duty sex topic. As I was telling you guys yesterday, and if you have not seen yesterday's video, go after this video and check it out. You can watch this one first, but definitely go over and check out yesterday's video on fine lines. So the lines between duty sex, rape, and kind of leaning in sex. Those fine lines. So that is what we talked about yesterday. But as promised, I am back today. And today we're going to talk about the dueling We're going to talk about the dueling dangers of duty sex. Because a lot of times we hear this term, duty sex, and we think, okay, it's a duty. It doesn't really do any damage. But the fact is, duty sex is some of the most damaging practices you can implement into your relationship. If you are doing duty sex, it is dangerous for not just yourself as a human, not just dangerous for your partner, but also it is very dangerous for you guys as a couple. Whether you are dating, whether you have been married for 50 years, it does not matter. Duty sex does so much damage to each person and the relationship as a whole. So I could list a cajillion, that's not a word, but I could list quite a number of things that duty sex really does in a relationship. But some of the top three, and those are the ones I'm really gonna hit on today, is number one, resentment. When we are having duty sex, resentment is one of the biggest keys to why it breaks down the relationship. And that is resentment on both sides. Hi, everyone, jump in on. Give me some love heart showers. Tell me what you think about this topic below. But resentment is one of the biggest things that gets in the way and is one of the dangers and traumatic aspects of duty sex. So for the woman, let's say the woman is the one doing the duty sexing, there is a resentment of being used, of feeling like her body is being taken over because of a duty of some form. That could be true duty that her husband is putting on her or her boyfriend is putting on her, or it could be an internal monologue going on that's like, okay, I have to do this, but this resentment does grow. And whatever emotion we have during sex really does get connected to our bodies. And so when we are having duty sex, our bodies don't really know the difference between duty sex and rape. And we're going to get into that in a minute in our number two, but resentment builds. And so your pussy or your cock will start to hold these resentments, that energy of resentment, because you're going to be angry that you're doing it. And then if you are the opposite partner, if you're the one who is receiving, per se, the duty sex, no matter if you pushed for it or she was like, no, I'm going to just do it because I have to do it, guess what? There will build a resentment up for your partner not really being present. Because if your partner is doing duty sex, they're energetically not really there. They're not truly, authentically there with you. And whether you recognize this resentment that will start to build up or not, the fact is this will start to build and you will be like, why aren't they there? Why don't I feel them? Again, this could be unconsciously or it could be very consciously. If you are somebody who is very good at practicing conscious sexing and your partner is constantly giving you duty sex, there will start to build this understanding that they're not with you. And I can tell you that when I'm with a partner, I can feel when they're not with me. I a lot of times will verbalize like, hey, I don't feel you with me right now. I don't feel you. And if you continue to not feel your partner, you will build resentment. And as a woman, if you're giving duty sex, you will start to build a resentment against your man, against sex. You will not want it. You will put these huge barriers up between you and a very pleasurable, healthy sex life. You will put a resentment up against sex in general. And so when people say you can have this orgasmic, pleasurable, blissful, touching the big toe of God sex, you will actually not believe it. Because you will start to program yourself that duty sex is what you get. And that builds resentment. That builds resentment in the relationship for both parties. Then, for number 2 top reason is trauma. Again, women's bodies do not know the difference between rape and duty sex. And I know you might be like, Addison, that's not true. There's a mental difference. There might be a slight different thought process. But guess what? Our bodies, our pussies, are not fully engaged with that thought process. They're not going, oh, she's forcing us open right now because she just wants to give this to her man, versus she's forcing us open because she's being forced open. Our physical bodies don't know the difference. And so what that does is it creates trauma all the way through the vaginal canal, the G-spot, the clitoris, all through the pubic mound. I do a lot of work with women in my practice of de-thawing these traumas, this numbness, a lot of pain, a lot of pain. A lot of the reason that women don't enjoy sex, can't feel sex, don't feel that beautiful, blissful sensation is because they potentially have had a lot of duty sex in their lives. There's actual trauma and abuse. But I mean, lots of couples where the woman has had duty sex over and over again, and the trauma to the vagina and to the heart space and truth is the same. It is the same. It's this build up. Again, our emotions get stored in our bodies, and the female genitals are like sponges for our emotions. And so if you're having duty sex with your woman, guess what? Your woman is experiencing that from a biological level as rape. And I know that's a hard one for everyone to get on board with, to truly imagine, because we like to think of rape as in this category. And again, go back to the fine lines video if you want to know to really kind of peel out the difference between the two. But from a biological level, that is how her physical body responds to it. On the other hand, men, guess what? If you're giving duty sex, the same thing happens to you, because I have known men to do duty sex. And you also hold that trauma in your genitals. And when we connect as a couple, guess what? We share energy. And so if she's in bitterness, resentment, trauma mode, even if that's not consciously where she's at, guess what? You're taking on as a man. You're taking on that energy, and vice versa. So if you're coming at her with anger and resentment and pissed offness, guess what? She's taking into her pussy. Anger, resentment, frustration. And so be very careful about the energy you're sending back and forth. And in truth, like we'll talk tomorrow about, whose fault is duty sex, but to really think about, is it worth it for you? Is it worth it? And then the last one is trust. The last one I'm going to talk about is really trust, because duty sex breaks down the trust in a relationship. Because when it comes out, which oftentimes at some point it does come out, no, I didn't really want to have sex with you. I was having sex with you because I felt pushed. I felt like I had to. I felt like I wouldn't have, my needs taken care of, that the relationship was going to break up no matter what it is. The fact is, that's a breaking of trust. That is the woman or the man not trusting that conversation to truly happen. A lot of times it's women not trusting that they can share that with their partner. Like, I really don't want to have sex right now. So that is a trust issue. And then on the other hand, because this is not beating up men, on the other end, there is this trust broken for the man, because he's like, I thought you were into it. I thought you were there. Why didn't you verbalize? So this massive trust breach happens, which you might feel like, oh, well, she's just not sharing. She's not communicating. But guess what? How we sex is how we do everything. And guess what? That is rippling out into your world. It's rippling out into your world and your relationship. Because if you can't trust your partner to have that conversation about if you really want to be doing it, if you really want to be having sex, you know, why you're having sex, then the fact is, if you can't have that conversation, then the trust really isn't there in the relationship to begin with. And that's where you really need to be working, because this can really, truly break a relationship. And as a woman, if your man, if your husband continues to have duty sex with you, or you give him duty sex, the fact is, the trust in the relationship, the trust in him listening and paying attention to you to recognize maybe that you're not in it, you're not there. Or maybe you did verbalize and he's still like, oh, come on, babe, come on. That, you know, not forcing, but that kind of coercion, guess what? That breaks trust too. And for men, I mean, there's a breaking of trust if your woman is acting. And so then you're in a couple, you have this couple who there's resentment, there's trauma, and there is a complete lack of trust. And I have watched duty sex be the reason that relationship after relationship has broken down. Friends, family, self. I've had some partners where like that has been the breaking point. And it not only breaks the relationship down, it actually does damage to us as humans. And so my suggestion is to really check out if it's worth it. If it really is worth it, if the ramifications to having duty sex are worth it, or if the ramifications of just having the conversation or saying no or checking in with your partner. Because guess what? Most guys don't want to be having sex with their woman if she really doesn't want to. And most women don't really want to be having sex. If they don't really want to be having sex, they're almost wanting their man to recognize that and go, okay, let's not do this. I feel you not there. That is a man stepping up. And the woman, it's our job to step up and go, I'm just not here. I'm not here. So tomorrow I'm going to get more into whose fault is it? And so if you missed day one, head back over. If you have been here for day one and day two, then make sure to check me out tomorrow to see day 3 of this lowdown of duty sex series. So I would love to hear your comments about this, because I know that this is a fiery topic. It's a fiery topic that a lot of people want to avoid talking about, but it's one of those things that we just have to talk about because it's happening so often. And if we can build such beautiful relationships if we just change just this piece can really awaken so many other things in a relationship. If you can have this conversation, again, you build trust, you get rid of any negative energy between you and your partner. So look at your own life, look at your own relationship, look at your past, and where maybe you have been victim or the giver of duty sex. So, all right, guys, I love you. And if you are wanting to work with me one-on-one, have this conversation, have me help you build yourself back up, move through your traumas, or heal your relationship, then head over to addisonbell.net. Other than that, I will see you beautiful people tomorrow for another Addison Unleashed.